If you're thinking about getting a Jawbone UP3 but you're really not sure, I'm going to tell you what I think after using mine every single day for 3 months. Now before we get started, if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sarah and I'm a registered dietitian, and this channel is all about healthy lifestyle. So in addition to doing the review of the Jawbone, I also have healthy eating info, I answer people's questions, healthy recipes, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you're into that, you want more of that kind of thing in your life, then make sure that you click that subscribe button because we have a lot of fun here and we would love if you would join us. Now, as far as the Jawbone goes, I cannot believe that it has been 3 months that I've been using it. It's really flown by. And when I made my first impressions video when I first got it, I told you that I would do an update after I've used it for a little bit. Now, if you did miss that first video, make sure you go check it out. I'll link it for you. But in there, I showed the whole unboxing process so you can really see what it looks like if you do get a Jawbone. And also I go through kind of what my hopes were for the Jawbone, and then also some of my concerns about using it and all that kind of stuff. And if you want more info about the UP3 or you're interested in purchasing one, I will put a link for you below the video so you can head right over and check that out. And they have been having some pretty good prices on them. Now obviously that can change depending on when you're watching this, but I would at least click over and see what the price is because you might be able to get it for a really good deal. So getting into the review, the first thing I want to talk about is the actual band itself. So as far as being comfortable, I think it's pretty comfortable. When I first got it, I feel like I was wearing it a little too tight, but now I've gotten it the right tightness so that, you know, it's tight enough that the sensors and everything are touching my wrist and it's not going to slip off, but it's not so tight that it's, you know, like hurting me or whatever. So some of that's a little bit playing with it. And I think also the more you wear it, the more you're going to get used to it. It's just like anything else. If you wear the same necklace every single day, you know, the first day you put it on, you might notice it, but if you're wearing it all the time, it almost kind of becomes a part of your body and you don't really feel it as much anymore. So that's kind of the situation with this. The more you wear it, the more you will get used to it. Something else I wanted to talk about was the clasp. So the clasp is kind of weird. I'll take it off and show you. So it's like this sliding thing. So when you put it up, when you put it on, you're sliding these two pieces together, and this is kind of hard to do looking into the viewfinder and holding it away from me, but there we go. So it kind of slides in like that. It is a little tricky when you first get it, just because you kind of have to hold it down so the band doesn't pop back open and getting it together. I'll put this back on while I'm talking to you. But over time, as you use it, you know, you kind of get used to it. It's just kind of a muscle memory thing. You learn how to do it, and it's not a big problem anymore. And I just put mine back on while I was talking to you, and it was pretty quick. Another thing I want to talk about is the actual band sliding off. I've seen a lot of people say that they have issues with, like, if you put your hand in a bag, because of the way this clasp slides in and the band is like this rubber texture. I've heard people say that, you know, if they put their hand in their bag, the rubber gets caught and then it pulls the band off. But I have a couple things to say about that. The first one is the way you position the band on your wrist matters. So the way I have mine, if I put my hand down, it's actually sliding the clasp together, not pulling it apart. Now obviously the opposite is true when you pull your hand out of the bag, so it could kind of happen either way, but I just really haven't noticed that it's a problem. I mean, it has come off a couple times, but over 3 months wearing it 24 hours a day, I really don't think that's that bad. I think obviously it would be better if it had a more secure clasp, so maybe if they do redesign it, they might change it, but overall it's not something that's a huge issue. It's not like coming off all the time, and I'm not worried that I'm accidentally gonna lose it somewhere. So some people have had issue with that, but for me it hasn't really been a big deal. As far as charging it goes, that's pretty easy. It only needs to be charged like every 5 or 6 days, and the charging goes really quick, like maybe within an hour to an hour and a half. So I usually charge it when I'm already not going to be active. So like if I'm going to be sitting at my desk for a while or something like that, then I'll charge it then. The charging method is a little wonky because you do have, you know, this little magnetic plug-in thing. Actually, let me just get the charger real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the charger is a USB charger, and then it has this end, which is like this magnetic pin thing. So this like magnetically plugs into your band. So when you're charging it, it's like this is in the band, and then the band's like hanging off. So it's not great. I mean, it's secure. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to actually get them to connect correctly. So I don't love the charging method, but I wouldn't say it's like horrible or a big problem either. And I usually charge mine in my laptop while I'm working, so I just plug it in there, put the band on, and then it's also easy for me to see right when it's done and I can take it off. So the charger isn't terrible, but I think it could use some improvement too. It's just a little weird and different from anything else, but I do understand that, you know, they're trying to minimize the band as much as possible and not have plugs and stuff like that. So I guess that's kind of the trade-off as far as the charging goes. Now there's one other physical trait I want to talk about before we get into the tracking and everything, and that's the waterproof feature. So the band is not actually waterproof, so you can't go like swimming or anything, but it is water resistant. So they say you could like wash dishes or take a shower and it should be fine. Now that might be true, but I personally try to be a little more cautious just because I do want to take care of my band and keep it as nice as possible. So I do take mine off before I take a shower. I can't speak to whether, you know, if you wear it in the shower, it might be totally fine, but that's just what I like to do. It's not a big deal. It's not like it's going to be tracking something while I'm taking a shower that I'm totally missing out on. And it's also nice because it gives me a chance to take the band off during the day, which I think is pretty nice. So you can do what you want with your band, but for me, that's the choice I made just to make sure that it stays in as good of a condition as possible. Okay, so now we're gonna get into all the tracking features, and the first one I want to talk about is the step tracking, because I think that's the one that most people are interested in with these types of bands. So for me, I really have liked the step tracking. For me, it's made a big difference in my overall activity, and it's really showed me how inactive I am in my everyday life. I mean, I knew that I wasn't moving around a ton because I do spend a lot of time at my computer, but I didn't realize just how inactive I was. Like, it was really bad. So that has made a big difference for me. It's made me more aware, and I feel like it's encouraged me to move more. Maybe those days where in the past I would have said, I don't feel like going for a walk, now I do, just because it's made me realize that that little bit can really make a significant difference as far as my overall activity. Now, something I was worried about with the step tracking is that I would become too concerned about it and that it could become something that is like in an unhealthy space. I didn't want to become obsessed with it. I didn't want to be someone who's like marching around my bed, you know, right before bedtime to get some more steps in, or, you know, if I don't have my Jawbone on, if it's charging or something, then I don't want to exercise because it's not counting the steps and stuff like that. And I didn't want to be checking it all the time because I really want to make sure that I'm keeping a healthy relationship with my activity, and I just wanted it to be an encouragement and not something that I became like crazy about. Now, that has not been an issue, I'm very happy to say. Now, it is something I'm very aware of because I know it can be a problem for a lot of people. You know yourself and what could or could not be an issue for you. But for me, as someone who I think has a tendency to fall into that trap, just being aware of it and really appreciating this for what it is, a tool to help me gauge my activity and be more active rather than something to micromanage and obsess and miss the point of the activity, it still hasn't been an issue. So that's, you know, my 2 cents on that and how that's turned out for me. The next feature I want to talk about is the sleep tracking. So this device does track your sleep, and it tracks what stages of sleep you're in based on your movements and stuff like that. And it also can do a smart alarm feature. So overall, the sleep tracking is nice. I do like being able to see how much I'm sleeping. I don't know how accurate it is. There's really no way for me to measure it against something else, but it is helpful. And there have been nights where it said, you know, you seem to not sleep as well, and I felt like that was true, you know, based on my own personal assessment of my sleep. So I think it's kind of cool to get the insight, and it's also nice to see like if you're on a trend of not getting enough sleep and things like that. It can be helpful to see the overall trends in your sleep. As far as the smart alarm that's supposed to wake you up when you're in the best stage of sleep to wake up, for me, I thought that would be like a feature I would love. It's not something I'm really into, and I actually turned the alarm off on it because what I found is no matter if I was in the right stage of sleep or not, I still didn't want to get up. I just wanted to go back and get more sleep. So it wasn't helpful as far as like if I'd woken up then I would have felt better throughout the day because I was just rolling over and going back to sleep. So for someone else, maybe that would be good, but for me, as someone who doesn't jump out of bed when the alarm goes off regardless, it really hasn't been as much of a help as I thought it would be. Next up is heart rate tracking. So the UP3 tracks your heart rate right before you get up in the morning so you can get kind of that baseline, and then it also tracks your heart rate passively throughout the day to kind of get trends of where your heart rate is sitting at different points in the day. It doesn't do active heart rate, so you can't like set it when you start a workout to track your heart rate and see how things are going. So that's just kind of what you should know depending on what you're looking for. For me, that was perfect because I wasn't so worried about the active heart rate. I'm not trying to get my heart rate into a certain zone when I exercise. I'm more just listening to my body and basing it on how I feel. And I also am not looking to hit a certain calorie burn or anything like that. So for me, the heart rate is interesting. I think it's nice. It hasn't been super helpful as far as like I haven't noticed, oh wow, I've really improved my heart rate or anything like that. I think because I'm overall living a pretty healthy lifestyle. So it hasn't given me any real insight in like changes I should make or anything like that. But it probably is a good thing to have just in your back pocket. And I think if there was something going on, then it would be something nice to see how things are trending or if things are improving as you change your lifestyle. Now, along with all of these different things that the app tracks, the other thing that's packed in there is their smart coach. And I think this might be the best part of the app. So their smart coach is a way to give you stats on what you're doing and encouragement and ideas for things to change and all other kinds of insights based on what you're interested in and what you want. So you can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to different things that it tells you, and that can help customize it so that it can give you the kind of information that you want. It can also give you some really good tips. So if it's noticing that your sleep is restless or it's taking you a long time to fall asleep after you get in bed, then the app might give you a prompt like, hey, try this breathing technique. We've noticed that you're having trouble falling asleep. This might help you fall asleep faster at night. Or if your heart rate is higher than normal in the morning, it might say, you know, things are kind of out of whack. Did maybe you have a stressful day yesterday or not drink enough water or something else? So it kind of can pinpoint those little things to you to help you think about it more and figure out what's going on. And it also can show you different encouragements as far as where you are in relationship to your typical. And that's one thing I really liked about it. So you set a goal for your steps, but it doesn't just coach you to reach that goal. It also looks at what you're actually doing. So for me right now, I very rarely actually hit the goal that I'd initially set for myself, but it gives me encouragement based on what I am actually accomplishing. So it will say things like, oh, you're only 1,000 steps away from your 7-day step average. So if you go walk for this amount of time, then you'll hit that average. So little things like that. So it's not just based on the goal you set, but it's looking at what you're doing now and helping you to maintain that or maybe do a little bit better. And I think that's great because it's helping you to really make those incremental changes rather than pushing yourself to do something that maybe just isn't realistic for you right now. And that really fits in with, you know, what I tell my one-on-one clients and what I tell you guys here about goal setting, that, you know, if you set this big goal and you're just never hitting it, it can be like something so distant and it's hard to really wrap your arms around it. But when you make those incremental changes based on where you're standing right now, then that's when really you can see change over time. So the fact that the app incorporates that into its recommendations makes me super happy. So those are my overall thoughts on the Jawbone UP3 after 3 months of use. I hope you liked the video and you found it helpful, and let me know in the comments if you have any other questions that I can help answer for you, and also if you would like to see more updates down the road as I've used it for even more time. And if you are new to my channel and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and healthy recipes, make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. And if you're loving the free info here, but you're finding that you need something more personalized, don't forget that I do offer one-on-one nutrition sessions. So if you want to work with me, just let me know and we can get that set up for you. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.